Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. As we mentioned earlier, we'll be talking about voting on the second and final day of the second phase of the parliamentary elections inside Egypt on Saturday. That was yesterday. The second phase of the parliamentary elections inside Egypt began in 13 governorates, and the second round of voting takes place on the 7th and 8th. Therefore, today, the 8th of November, is the final day of the second phase for the residents of Cairo, Qalyubiyya, Munufiyya, Gharbiyya, Kafr al-Sheikh, Sharqiyya, Damyatta, Port Said, Ismailia, Suez, North and South Sinai as well. And in order to shed more light on the parliamentary elections, the turnout, the electoral process, we're very much delighted to have with us here in the studio Dr. Mohamed Talaat, the international lawyer and international constitutional expert. Very good day to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Now, Doctor, how did you follow the first day of voting in the second phase of the parliamentary elections here inside Egypt? And in your opinion, how important it is in Egypt's modern history?
Well, I'll take the second part of the question. How important? It is extremely important because this is the parliamentarian elections. So it is the elections for the parliament, the House of Representatives, which is a core part of the political system of the country. So the elections and the role of the House of Representatives is fundamental for the political process. How did I find the turnout is good, and particularly among the youngsters and the youth. Personally, I felt this when I went to cast my vote. I found that there is a good presence of the younger generation, which is a very good indication, and it means that there is a good political awareness among the younger generation, and they understand and realize the importance of having a well-represented House of Representatives being the legislator in the country. And as I said, it's a fundamental part of the political system in the country.
Yes. Doctor, we found a huge security presence in all polling stations and even in the streets as the electoral process was taking place. So how do you evaluate the efforts exerted by the police and the army in order to secure the polling stations in the 13 governorates during the electoral process?
Stellar, to be very frank with you. I am very much appreciative to the authorities, whether the interior or the army, for securing the polls and and exerting all of these efforts. Again, it gives comfort and gives a very good message to the voters that that security is tight and there is no threat, which encourages definitely the voters to proceed on casting their votes and make the effort of going and participating in the process. Yeah.
And Doctor, how do you see the role of the media? Because the media has been launching awareness campaigns prior to the electoral process and even during the election process, whether abroad or here in Egypt, the media was playing a role. How do you see it?
I see it very positive, to be very frank with you. I was always conscientious about the role of the media in this respect, and I was always hoping that it plays a role in in raising the political awareness, which is the case this time. There is a very positive contribution from the media in this respect, and as I said, it induced people to participate, to be very frank with you, particularly the younger generation. I spoke to them personally, and I found that there is enthusiasm among them in going down and casting their vote. So it means that the message has been well relayed to them
and to the world.
And to the world, of course, yeah. But to the voters in particular, that induced them to participate in the process. Yeah.
Doctor, the electoral process was taking place among exceptional circumstances with COVID-19 pandemic, yet you told me that you found huge participation, particularly by youth, and people were very keen to go and cast their votes in polling stations despite the pandemic, yet they were assured of all the precautionary measures taking place. So how do you see that?
This is an exact practical implementation of the awareness because there is awareness among them about the importance of the elections, and because they understand that their votes is part and parcel of the system, and the importance of the role that the House of Representatives plays in the political system, that despite the fact that there is I don't want to say threats, يعني there is impact, adverse impact from the COVID, yet people were willing to overcome this adverse impact and make the effort to go all the way down and cast their votes. So it is a real implementation, a practical implementation of raising political awareness.
And,
Which
also
the media
people-
has participated in, as you rightly said
Yes.
just a little while ago. Yeah.
Yes, and the measures were strictly implemented. No,
Now the
one
measures
was
are implemented.
was
I
allowed
personally
to go on without
was
mask.
saw it myself. I had the mask, of course,
The
but I
masks
saw
were
it myself.
distributed
Yeah.
for free for those who didn't have it in every polling
It
station.
could be I did not focus on this because I had my own mask, but everybody was masked. So
Yes.
it means that either it's being distributed for free or people are bringing the masks because they are also aware and conscientious of the COVID-19 and the impact of it. Yeah.
Of course.
And even in the streets, I mean, down here in the building,
There is
yeah,
a
I
polling
saw
station down
there's
there.
a station, yeah.
Yes. Doctor, what are your remarks regarding the first round of the elections?
I mean, this is a lengthy process, but my initial remark is that the circuits are a bit wide, a bit broad. In my personal opinion, I would have liked to see them narrower than this.
Okay.
But this is, I mean, this is something that will take a very long and lengthy discussion on the division of the circuits and so forth. Yeah.
Yes.
So forth.
Our reporters covering the first phase and the second phase told us that there was a remarkable turnout, huge turnout by women in particular.
Well, women have been playing a fundamental role in the political system since 2013, 2011 and 2013, to
Of
be,
course.
but to be very frank
2013,
with
yes,
you.
more, yes, yes.
I was driven by my wife in 2013. I mean, she was participating
Yes.
more in the Tahrir Square than me.
Yes,
So, I mean, women definitely over the last 10 years have played a supportive role in the
Yes.
political system in the country. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is good, by the way. It's
Actually,
very good,
women
yeah.
have been playing a huge role throughout history.
Well, definitely throughout history, we
but
cannot.
you're very much right. In the June 30 revolution, that was a leap in their participation.
Definitely it is a
because
leap,
as
yeah.
you rightly mentioned, they took their husbands, they took their sons,
I mean, they are the ones that were taking
They were
us. I mean,
leading.
she was once the one taking us down to participate. I mean, she was more into it than me. Yeah.
Yes, and that's why President Abdel Fattah Sisi started addressing women in particular
He's
directly.
very supportive to women.
And he
yeah.
dedicated the whole year for the Egyptian woman.
And as you can see, the members of the cabinet, I mean, we have now 7 women in the cabinet. This is the first time in history that the Egyptian cabinet would have such a big amount of women among the ministers. Yeah.
Speaking of which, should we expect more women in the new parliament?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
With this participation, with the
With
awareness?
the participation and the awareness and the role that they're playing, definitely we'll see more in the parliament, which is good for the community and for the system in the whole, because they also have certain thoughts and they represent the thinking of women in the country, which was not very well relayed before. So
Yes.
definitely their presence is extremely fundamental for the system. Yeah.
Yes. Sir, you are a constitutional expert. What should we expect from the new members of the new parliament?
We should expect constructive participation on their part, either in the legislations that will be presented to the parliament, and their interfacing with the cabinet itself. I mean, there should be a tendency among the members to build up and not only to criticize. They have to work closely with the executive power, because you have the legislative power and you have the executive power,
Yes.
which is the cabinet. They have to work hand in hand with the cabinet for the best interests of the country.
Definitely.
And the fact that there is a good turnout among the youngsters, which would be probably well translated in the composition of the House of Representatives, there would be a good number of younger generation in the House of Representatives. They will also contribute to the new legislations, the modern and technical legislations that are likely to be presented to the Parliament by the Cabinet. They are young, agile, and of course they will have modern thoughts and modern concepts that will add to the process itself and to the legislations likely to come out from the House of Representatives. Yeah.
Yes. Dr. Talaat, for many voters, there was a question: what are the standards or criteria upon which I, as a voter, should choose my representative? What is
the role such representatives is likely to play for the best interests of the country as a whole, and not only for the interests of the circuit. He's being in the Parliament for the welfare of Egypt, and not only to help the voters or to respond to their personal needs. It is a patriotic process, and patriotism should be the criterion for electing the representative.
Yes, and many candidates are actually young. So we have seen so many young.
Yeah, as I said, of course, there are many of them are young, and this is very good. I am very optimistic by having them in the House of Representatives, because, as I said, they should be able to provide new concepts, particularly with respect to the new technological laws and regulations that will be presented to the House of Representatives. They should be better in terms of understanding these new concepts and adding to it, and modernizing the laws and regulations. Yeah.
Yes.
So the fact that we have younger generation and we have women, the Parliament is likely to be well balanced in this respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, personally, I hope to see more women in the Parliament. Because,
we all like to see more women.
In so many African countries, women represent 50% of the Parliament in so many African countries, and they did make a huge difference. So I hope to see that happening here in Egypt. But speaking of which, when it comes to the turnout, it wasn't only remarkable by women. We have seen also elderly people keen to go and cast their votes in polling stations. How do you see that?
I see it. I saw it firsthand myself that one of them was unable to go up the ladder, and the judge actually moved all the way down to the entrance of the voting building or whatever, in order to help someone to vote. So there is, because people are elderly generation are keen to participate, the response from the authorities also has been very positive. Actually, as I said, the judge moved all the way down. He went down 2 stories in order to help that person to cast his vote, because he's unable to go up. So there is a good interaction between the authorities in this respect and the keenness of the elder generation to participate in the voting.
Yes. also
it is again awareness. It is
yes, it's
awareness
again
because
awareness.
people are
They all come down to the
all,
same.
exactly. It all
Yes.
comes down that there has a big good raising of awareness. So people are aware of the process itself, and they are keen to participate in it, which is a very positive indication about the desire of the people to participate in their political, legal, and legal system. Yeah.
Yes. There was also keenness by people with determination or people with special needs to go and cast their votes, and they have been actually pushing for more rights, and of course it's their right under the reign of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, during his office in the past years, has been giving people with determination special status, dedicating certain privileges for them, and they want more. They through their existence in the parliament, we have so many members, and they were also keen to go and cast their vote. How do you see that?
People with special needs do enjoy certain rights, like for instance, in the labor law. And accordingly, this should also be copied with respect to other laws and regulations. So there should be, and the Constitution, as a matter of fact, does speak about that and does speak about the rights of the people of special needs. So they do have absolute constitutional rights to be treated as other voters. And because there are special needs, then that there has to be equipment, and the voting buildings or whatever must be equipped in order to respond positively to the people that have special needs. And as you rightly said, the president himself has been focusing on this in many instances, and he has held several forums that were dedicated for people with special needs, and he honored them on several occasions. So people with special needs do have constitutional rights equal to people that are supposedly not with special needs.
Yes.
And they should be treated equally. Not only to be treated equally, but should be privileged also because of their special needs. Yeah.
Of course.
But they also have to play a role in the system themselves because they are citizens at the end of the day, and they enjoy their constitutional rights.
Yes. Doctor, how did you follow the first and second round of voting for Egyptian expats?
It has been, as I said, it has been stellar also. I mean, the fact that they are out of the country did not represent a deterrence to them in order to participate in the system of for the best interests of their own country. So they are well attached to the country, and they contributed to the system. So it is it's a very good and positive indication on their part that despite the fact that some of them could be living abroad, they're still very much integrated into the system of their own country, and they're attached to it, which is always the case with respect to Egyptians, by the way, different than other nationalities. Egyptians mostly, no matter how many years they live abroad, they're still attached to their own country.
That's
and they
true.
come back.
That's true.
And they could live 40 years abroad, and I saw this firsthand. They could be living 40 years out of the country, but at the end of the day, they still do come back here, and they buy apartments here, and they make sure that they have a residence here.
And they play a role in their community, in the countries where they are living.
They play a role in their community who are living abroad, and then at the end of the day, they come back and live here.
They promote the culture, yes, they promote people, and they encourage them to come and visit the country, and they talk also about Egypt all the time, so definitely. So here we're talking about the participation of Egyptians of all classes, of all segments. We're talking about Egyptians, whether women, elderly, youth, people with determination, expats. they were all very keen to cast their vote, whether the Egyptian expats in the first and second round, and here inside Egypt, the first round and the second round, which ends today. So I want to ask you, Doctor, how important, in your opinion, to hold the parliamentary elections right after the Senate elections?
I don't know whether this would be the case each round. It just so happened that the Senate came first and then the House of Representatives. I'd like to see them together, to be very frank with you, because I'm just a bit worried that people could get sort of intimidated by having two elections, one after the other. Yeah. So in the future, perhaps they should be in the same ballot or whatever. But despite the fact that the Senate came and then the House of Representatives, the turnout with respect to the House of Representatives has been stellar. So it means that people were still keen, and they did realize the role that the House of Representatives will play in the system and the importance of it. So they were not intimidated or deterred by participating in one round of elections on the Senate and then again participating in another round of elections with respect to the House of Representatives. Until now, of course, the House of Representatives is the legislator, while the Senate is sort of a catalyst or supporting the House of Representatives. I hope that the Senate would be upgraded and would be a second chamber to the House of Representatives, similar to what it was in the Senate before 1952. It was an upper chamber of the parliament itself. I hope to see this in the near future, but up until now it plays an advisory role. So the House of Representatives is the core of the legislator or legislative system in the country heretofore. Yeah.
Doctor, in your opinion, how do you see the challenges that will face the new members of the parliament? Of course, we have so many challenges: economic, political, health.
We have so many challenges because there are always problems, no matter what. I mean, there is an evolution in the country, and any country that's going through evolution, or the whole world is going through evolution, there are always new problems that we encounter. What I hope is their ability to digest and comprehend the problems and encounter these problems with a constructive and supportive need or supportive determination in order to help in solving these problems and push the matter forward and find the appropriate solutions for it.
Yes. I'd like to thank you very much, Dr. Mohamed Talaat, international lawyer and international constitutional expert. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. Coming up next, a report about reactions to the winning of U.S. President-elect Joe Biden.
Biggest and closest allies quickly congratulated Joe Biden.